with love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. He will make a way. Let's sing it together. Oh, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways.
Today we're doing something a little bit different. I'm at the studio of Photography by Heather and Sentimental Journeys on Gallatin Road in Scottsville, and they've been helping me edit some of my Haiti videos from last year, from the first time I went back in March, and we want to kind of share those with you. And they're going to be kind of raw video, but Sentimental Journeys has helped me edit those to bring those to life and actually bring you into the journey of Haiti. And there's going to be video, and there's also going to be a journal blog that will show our days there, and they're the journals of myself, Candace Green, and Michelle Carver, and then different people that joined us in our trip. And this is from March of 2010, right after the earthquake, when I went down and helped, when my life was so greatly changed. And I just want to thank the viewers who have sent donations in to help us with the building project at Leslie's. That is so greatly appreciated. I think my next trip down we're going to be ready to break ground at Leslie's for our first building, which is very exciting. And if you would like to still help support that, we still are several $1,000s away from actually what it's going to cost to fund this project. Our goal is to build them 3 to 5 classrooms, and they're coming into the rainy season, and we've got to get those kids up off the ground and out of those tents and actually into structures. And so I just want to thank you for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy the program.
Here is Holly teaching Bonnie how to jump rope.
No, both feet together one time. Watch. Both feet. Watch. Ready? Yeah. Stand back.
That's how much that's one.
See? Play tight. One more time, watch.
Let's see if he can do it now. Now that the pro has shown him how to do it.
Yes. See.
Vidi is cleaning that rope.
I am impressed.
And here we have the kids enjoying some coloring.
I can't believe how well they color.
This is one of the activities that we brought along for the kids to do.
So we just picked one out for them. Just picked out a dinosaur or something.
So everybody watching this, you can see where your money went. If you gave money, you helped buy these crowns and coloring books that are making these kids so happy. We got some playing frisbees, jump ropes. Here's the kids making bracelets.
Chita. Donc appuyer sur ta table, mais faut chita.
Just go down there for the bag. You got some down there.
Tie a knot in one end.
I'm just tying them together. Yeah. I didn't know there were two different ones. Sorry.
Você não aí sem Natal. Hello.
So come back, Jack, to see, do we have a finished project? Oh, pretty cool. So Jack, is this the finished project?
This is the, no, not yet. There's the finished project over there. This is the finished one that they made.
This is their finished project of a kite that Jack taught them how to make. Pretty cool.
That is way cool.
Jack just is a man of all trades. He can make kites and tables and everything else. I might just take him home with me.
Merci.
Oui. Jinsio, oh, boleh kau tak sak jiu papayo?
Did you take a picture too?
Okay. Today I'm going to talk about the orphanage we went to again. We went to Leslie's orphanage, and it's my favorite thing to do. And while we were there, the same little boy, the minute I got out of the truck, I was thinking all the way there, wonder where my little boy is. Well, as soon as I got out of the truck, he just kind of came and ran over and grabbed me and gave me a big hug. And he grabbed my hand and just hugged me. And I said, "There's my boy. Do you remember me?" He said, "Oh, yes." He speaks a little English. And he just gave me a big hug and wouldn't let me go. And so the whole time we were there, every time I turned around, he was right beside me. And he colored me a picture, and he gave me a picture. And he wrote his name on it, tic-tac-toe. And I hope he's going to be mine someday. I'm done. No more. Sorry.
Today has been a very emotionally draining day. We went to the orphanage that we have visited before, and there's this little baby there named Kayla, and nobody could get her to come to them. She'd cry every time anybody tried to get her, including myself, the last time I tried. Well, this time I was so determined. I'm like, God, I'm going to make this baby love me. And I'm praying, I'm like, God, what do? How do I make this, I just look at this baby and she never smiles and nothing. And I'm like, okay, I want to hold this baby. I want to love her. And so I just kind of started out with doing a little bit of peekaboo and kind of tickling her a little, and she just kind of looked at me, and I'm like, okay, that's a start. She's not crying. And so I'm like, okay, that's good. So then I kind of get to where my hand's kind of next to hers, and she kind of sets her little hand on mine, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting further and further. And then she's kind of crying, and I was like, oh, she's tired. So I changed her diaper, and I picked her up, and she kind of fussed a little bit, but I held her, and she just fell asleep in my arms, and oh my goodness, I fell in love with her. She's such a precious little baby, and I just held her in my, and like I looked down at her, and she's just so beautiful. The most beautiful little baby you could ever imagine seeing. And I'm like, I want her, I want to take her home so bad. I'm not married, I want that baby. And so I just held her, and she for a very long time. And then it came time to eat. And she had just kind of woke up, and she looked up and saw that I was holding her and just laid her little head on my shoulder and looked at me, and I was like, oh. And so it came feeding time, and I was going to hold her, and Holly was going to feed her. And so Holly picks up the spoon with the rice on it and tries to give it to her, and she starts crying. And so I pick up the spoon, and she lets me feed her, and I feed her all the food, and she's just looking at me, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And it came time to go, and I did not want to put her down because I held her the whole entire time, because once I had her, I did not want to give her up. It's not like I guess she probably wouldn't have went to anybody else anyway, but I did not want to give her up. And so it was time, and I knew I had to put her down. And Holly said, just put her down and turn away, turn and walk away. And I'm like, okay. So I'm literally trying to pull her off of me, and her little legs are reaching for me, trying to grab around my waist. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. I'm like, I can't handle this. I can't leave her. And so finally I set her down and turn and walk away. And I hear her crying. She's just crying for me. And so I turned and I walked away, and we headed to the truck, and I get in there, and I'm like, Michelle gets in, and she's crying over her kid, and I'm crying over my kid, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how are we going to do this at the week when we actually have to leave this place? How are we going to manage to leave these kids? And I'm just like, oh, I want that little baby. Her name is Kayla, and I just want her so bad. I want all the kids, actually. I can't just choose one, but I just had like such a special today. And it was just so, I just love her. And then we came back and ate lunch, which was really good. And then we went to the Mother Teresa's house of the destitute and dying, and that was just an awesome experience. We went and we rubbed lotion on their legs and arms and their whole body, and it was just an amazing experience to walk in and just see them, laying there sick and just real frail, and especially the women, and pushing on them, and to give them any kind of relief from anything was just amazing. And as we were rubbing the lotion, I was just praying for them and believing that God's gonna heal all those people. And there's not, me and Amanda were talking before I left, and she's like, when you're there, you just pray for all at the house of the destitute and dying, and then they won't even have to have that house anymore. And I'm like, and so, and I was telling you the other day, I'm like, these hands are gonna heal the sick. And so I just put my hands on them, and I was just praying for them as we were rubbing lotion on them, and it was just an amazing experience. Everything that we've done has been so amazing, and I'll never forget any of it. And I literally just need a day or two after this, though, to just cry and sleep a little bit, and then wake up and cry some more, and then sleep some more, and then cry the rest of the time, because it's such an emotional thing that's going on here. But I love it, and I wouldn't trade any moment of what we've done for anything. And I'm just so excited for what more God's going to do, and how much more He's going to change me, because I already feel like I'm just such a different person from even these few days that we've actually been here. And I'm just so excited about everything that's going on. So, thanks.
Well, today has been probably the most touching day of all, the most difficult emotionally. I think today's kind of probably drained all of us emotionally. We've all just had a big good cry, so we probably look really rough right now. And so I'm going to try to get through this video. Now that I've had a good cry, maybe I won't cry, but I might just bawl. So we'll just see what happens. Today we went back to Leslie's orphanage and played with the kids there again today, and they're some of the most precious kids there. There's a little boy that stands out at the gate and greets everybody as you come, and he reminds me in the Bible of the man that stands at the gate beautiful. And I just wish I had the power to say, behold, his little eye goes to the side, but he's the funniest little thing. Yeah, they call him crazy there. But he, oh my goodness, I just love that kid. He is just one of the neatest little kids.
Joel one scene.
He's so awesome. He reminds me of the guy in the Bible, and I just love that kid. So he's greeted us the past couple times that we're there. And then we get out and start getting mauled by kids again, and we do lots of activities with the kids. We color, and we made bracelets, and I probably have all these little handprint bruises where, ma'am, and they wanted more stretch bracelet stuff to put their little bracelets on. They poked me, all trying to get it at the same time, and I think we did some kickball with them, and we did some blow up bouncy balls. We're going back there twice before we come back home. And I met this little girl. She started out being Candace's little girl, but she switched to me, and her name is, I
I forgot now. It's been such a long day. I have Mika is her name. And she's 3 or 4 years old. She has got the biggest dimples. But these kids don't smile a whole lot. You have to do something. It just takes a lot to even get them to. But I put my sunglasses on her, and then she smiled the biggest grin. Yes, I have pictures of her in her sunglasses, and I have pictures of me pushing her on the swing. And if I could take her home with me Friday, she would so be on that plane, sitting right beside of me, sitting in my lap. And she went to sleep in my lap today, and it was just so wonderful. And then she had to go get a shower, and she came right back to me when she was done with her shower. And the little guy they call Crazy, he came over. I was sitting there holding my little girl, and he takes and crawls it up under my butt cheek and goes to sleep. And he keeps just scooting his head more and more up and under my butt. And that's where he goes to sleep at today. And everybody's like, what is that kid? I'm like, I don't know, he's asleep. And so I had to, everywhere we go, I end up with 2 kids asleep. I'm like, I have this like sleep mechanism in me or something. But I was getting a little bit like irritable today and stuff, so I had to have a walk. And so I'd asked Rebecca when she left if I could go for a walk, and she said, yeah, as long as I took one of the guys with me. And she recommended Boney because she said he was the quiet one, and I think she missed that a little bit because he kept talking the whole time. And he couldn't understand why we didn't want to talk, and we tried to explain we just wanted quiet time to spend time with God. And finally he understood and got it, I think, but I still don't know if he fully got it, but anyway. And we walked through this little area, and there was this big mansion that had been just pretty much flattened by the earthquake. There were several really rich houses, like bigger than anything and more elaborate than anything I've ever even seen in the United States. I mean, just the most elaborate house. So after that, we come back to the orphanage and play with the kids a little bit more, and then we had to say our goodbyes, which is so hard to do to them. And they're sitting there waving bye to us. And we got to watch the kids eat their evening meal, which was rice and this bean puree that was poured over it. But they sure did enjoy it. I mean, big old helpings these kids ate. And Candace's baby, I tried to feed her, but she wouldn't have that. Ooh, push me away, ooh. She wanted Candace to feed her, so I couldn't even look at her or touch her. Nobody can. Candace was the only one that could do anything with this little girl. Then after that, we came back and had a quick lunch with, it was noodles with chicken and avocados. And then we headed off to Mother Teresa's House of the Dying and Destitute, which to me meant so much to me to just be going there, because I knew on this trip that I was going to get to go there, and it was something that God had spoke to me last year, that I would be going to one of Mother Teresa's House of the Dying and Destitute. And so I kind of had already prepared myself, I think, a little bit more emotionally than everybody else had for it, because I had looked it up on the internet and kind of knew what it was more about. But no matter how much I think we prepared ourselves for this trip, each day it kind of shocks us a little more, I think, especially as we're getting to know the people here more. And we go in and the little ladies there, and their little bodies so fragile that you feel like if you touched one wrong bone that you would break them. And you know, today was true worship for me. I really felt like that I truly worshiped God today. As I got to administer to their bodies, it was like that I was anointing them. And it was my true worship. And we would pray with them, and then there was this one little lady that I just really took a lot of time and rubbed her back, and I could feel every vertebrae in her back. And she was only like 20-something. Very young, too young to be in a place like that. It's unreal. I don't know, it's just unreal. Then we went down to the men. One of the things that really touched me up there with the women was I'm rubbing this lady, the women up there, the other women that are upstairs start singing in Haitian, and it was just so heavenly. And I was trying to hold back, not crying, because I knew if I ever let go that I would just break right there, and that wouldn't be a good thing. So we've all just stuffed so much emotion down that we just
at the place we can't hardly stuff anymore. So we go down to the men, and there's more men there than women, and boy, the men love to be rubbed. We rubbed elbows, knees, I think it was head, shoulders, knees, toes. We did it all. It was sure that we had prayer with the men, and then we sung to them Amazing Grace, and then they were a little bit shy and didn't want to sing back to us, but then finally they did, and my goodness, again, I was just about to break. I'm like, we've got to get out of this place. I just got to get in the vehicle. Oh my goodness. And it was heavenly. It was so heavenly. And even in the words that we all try to describe it in, it just doesn't do it justice. I don't even know if we can truly give you a picture of Haiti. I don't think I could even do justice to what my eyes see. And I try not to even let my eyes and my heart and mind deceive me of what I'm seeing. It's worse than anything I've ever seen in my life. And then we come back to our room after we leave Mother Teresa's. It was kind of a quiet ride back home. I told Rebecca I most definitely need another walk, but it was too late and getting to be dark time, so just stuff more emotion down. We have a really nice supper. Yeah, welcome to Haiti again. Yep, as soon as we're doing our photo journals, it's a good laugh. The lights go out again. We come back and we have, we just kind of sit around and talk and visit a little bit, but then we, I got a shower tonight, a spit shower I call it. That's what it was, because it just spits the water out. Nothing great, but it still felt really wonderful just to kind of wash the day off. And my feet stunk really bad. So they were horrible. They were the worst smelling things ever. Worse than Jeremy's. Yes, if that is even possible. Well, I don't know if they were that bad. So, and Jeremy, no, I've not smelled anything that's on your feet while I was here. So your feet still are at the top. So anyway, we had supper, and we had Mexican tonight. We made homemade tortillas, guacamole, salsa. We're adjusting the light. Salsa, refried beans, and this other stuff I can't remember the dish of that's made with this cabbage that's kind of spicy, but pickly. Yeah, we had pickly, and that's very delicious. Then after supper, Rebecca decides she's going to show us a picture of her children that she has in America. So we have it on the computer. And Rebecca has 3 sons here in Haiti that's been actually 4 that have been our guides and kind of our bodyguards. And one of them sees the picture, and it's kind of a break for him because she asked if he missed his brother, and he said yes, because these boys had grown up together at an orphanage that they had some real trauma there. And Rebecca took 8 of them back to the United States, but she had to leave the other guys because she couldn't afford it. And it's been real hard for her to even leave them, and hard on the other 4 when she comes back. But when he saw the picture, he kind of broke and started to cry. And then he left and went to the other room, and I saw him as he would peek around the corner. Rebecca was telling us about those boys and their life that they have in the States, and you could see the hurt in his face. And it was almost as if I could hear his heartbeat, and that it was pounding faster, and you could just see the look on his face of, why not me? Why wasn't I to be picked? What was wrong with me? What did I do wrong? And then he left the room he was in and went to the kitchen, and she was still telling us he would peek around the corner, and heart just so... Because at that moment, he felt so unloved, as if he had nobody in the world. And really, he doesn't have anybody. And he has us, people that come, and we're here for we leave. There's no constant, continual love, and it's all over this place. And so I went out on the porch and just kind of put my arm around him, telling him, that we were here for him. And he was trying to hold back the tears and starts to cry, and I'm like having to stuff more emotion down, and sat there with him for a bit. And he looks through this wall thing, just looks out into space, and you could just I could feel his heart beating faster. And just that's there is just unreal. So then I come back in, and I come upstairs, and I have a major meltdown up here and start crying. had a good cry, and then we go downstairs for devotion, and we put Joseph and Bonnie in the center, and we pray over them, and you can just feel the emotion and the tension and the hurt that both of them feel, that we're leaving in a few days to come back home, and they're going back to the hell that they live in. They come here and they serve us, and they go back to a tent city and live amongst the filth and the rough. Nothing that we would even ever dream of sleeping in or being a part of. And then I just sit down there with them for a bit and, you know, just kind of hold on to them and hold their hand. And I decided that I just may bring these guys home with me and adopt them. I wouldn't mind to have a 20-something-year-old and 18, and there's this other little guy, Jimmy. I don't think we'd ever get Jimmy to leave unless we brought the whole package, because Jimmy comes with 7 other kids. And I don't think he would ever leave those kids because he knows what it's like left behind when your other people that you live with and grow up with go to the United States, and you're the one that gets left here. You're the one that gets left out.
Comment c'est non? You listen that?
Je te suivrai partout, parce que je t'aime plus que tout. Si tu vois plus le sens de ta vie, je viendrai. Je suis ton ami. Au revoir, mais rien ne s'arrête. Au revoir, mais ne t'oublie jamais. Au revoir, à une autre vie pour le meilleur. Et je sais que l'on s'aimerait. Au revoir.
Allez, tout le monde nous regarde comme ça. Goodbye.
Merci.
Goodbye.
I want to get together with Candace and all these other people and adopt all of these kids in some kind of mass adoption, including Wu, Sika, Nika, or whatever her name is, and Raf, Mika. I want to adopt all of them somehow and bring them here. Can we do that?